All right, we're back. Luke Thomas, Danny Segura, and then via Skype, all the way from Phoenix, Arizona, is our friend and yours, Sean El Shadi. We took your tweets. They were submitted to us using the hashtag #TheMMABeat. I picked a bunch this time because I was worried it was going to be. It was almost a two-man show, by the way. So that's why the cameras are all jerry-rigged and poor Sean El Shadi. Sean, did you shower this morning? Don't even lie.
Oh man, I got like a 2-minute shower and right after the Connor thing, and then threw together. Ironed this real quick. It was very last second.
Yeah, you're the one using Febreze. That's the truth of it. I see you over there. All right, so I've got a bunch of tweets ready. Let's go ahead and get this started. Not a moment to lose. What do we have first? Oh, this is from our friend Dr. Jed Masvidal II. Could his title be more pretentious? Honestly. Why do y'all keep ducking my fiery takes? I've got an hour of material on Nick Newell alone, and don't get me started on this Covington fiasco. On a related note, and Sean, we'll go to you first. Does it seem like the UFC are doing inane things more often than they did before, or is it just me? Now, you know as well as I do that Jed, his takes are only lava. There is never any nuance to any of them, but does he have a point?
You're right. There is very rarely middle ground with his take. They're either very cold or very, very, very hot. In this case, I think he's right, man, and it's a symptom of it's similar to what we've been talking about sort of the whole show. The demands of the schedule and the lack of Conor, John Jones, Ronda Rousey, big stars has really created an environment where anything goes. They have slots to fill, and they're just going to fill them however they're going to fill them, and whatever happens, happens. And if guys miss weight, they can fight in title fights. If guys, just get interim titles, they can take them away at last second's notice. It's all by the seat of their pants at this point. So I think he's onto something.
Danny, someone said to me the other day, it was like, dude, what happened to the best fighting the best? And I was saying to myself, well, that still mostly happens, but as like a operating. Mm-hmm. As like an operating ethos, that shit's out the window completely.
Oh yeah, it's long gone, and this is the butterfly effect, right? There used to be champion, you fight #1 contender, and everything used to run normal, right? The moment they started making super fights, the moment champions started having a little more leverage and not fighting, and because let's keep in mind, I know you guys have said, like, for example, the schedule has demanded and has really drained and made all these issues, right?
Let me clarify. Not merely the number of shows, but the number and type of shows has put a unique kind of pressure on them.
But if we look at the past 4 years, since 2014, the pay-per-view numbers have remained the same, really.
Yeah, to everyone's detriment.
But it's really all the champions wrote. You have 13 slots, right, of pay-per-views, and every single headliner has to be a title. So you got all the champions rotating and fighting those slots.
Yep.
So the moment a champion fights less, that means others have to fight more, and that's the real issue. The moment they started giving Conor McGregor the super fights, the fights at welterweight, that disrupted the whole order that the sport was based on and that the company operated in. And now that's why you see them making all kinds of decisions, because they have to fill in, these holes. They have to, plug in these champion fights. So.
I know, but it's also crazy, Sean, like this ESPN deal. I love this ESPN deal. I think MMA heading to streaming, and I know people are down on DAZN, a.k.a. DAZN, a.k.a. the worst name ever, a.k.a. oh my God.
I don't think it's that bad.
A.k.a. DAZN, really?
It's not that bad. Well, if you make it seem DAZN, if you just say the zone, it's not that bad.
Yeah, but it's DAZN.
Awful. That is objectively awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as, child abusers enjoy streaming. I mean, they're not calling it that, but short of that, it's pretty bad. But the point being is, I'm actually excited about it. I'm going to subscribe to it. I think going to streaming is absolutely what combat sports and the UFC needs. But part of that deal that UFC has, Sean, with ESPN calls for 12 pay-per-views. 12 pay-per-views per year over 5 years? I don't buy it. I don't buy that in 2023 the UFC is going to be running 12 pay-per-views a year. I don't buy that even a little bit. Do you?
I agree with you 100%, man. Because it's not tenable. It's completely untenable at this point, and I don't feel like they're getting the guaranteed money with ESPN. They have no reason to sink their own pay-per-view business at this point by putting on lackluster shows. I agree with you 100%.
All right, let's go to the next tweet. If you had a mega rich father, Danny, Who would you want to perform at your birthday party? Now, I was a little hesitant to put this in there. I do not want to make this about Dana White's parenting, and I do not want to make this certainly about this 16-year-old child who does not deserve to be covered in that way. But just thinking out loud, independent of the particular issue inside MMA, if you had a mega rich dad, who would you want performing at your birthday party?
I'll go with the Strokes.
The Strokes?
Yeah.
I literally know nothing about them.
It's a good band, New York City band.
Dude, you like whiny white dudes. What is up with that? Is that why, is that why we're friends?
I like all kinds of music. I mean, you're giving me literally 15 seconds to pick.
F off. Every time you post something on social media, it's some fucking Brooklyn band where half the members have...
Breaking news, I live in Brooklyn.
Yeah, half the members have lice, and they're just whining about how girls don't like them. It's like, dude, you gotta
I also listen to hip hop. I listen to all kinds of things. So
I bet you listen to hip hop where the guys sing too, don't you?
No, not necessarily.
Who do you like?
I mean, I listen to all kinds of hip hop. What's up?
I know. I love to hear.
I can go old school, Tribe Called Quest.
Exactly.
Listen to a little bit of like NWA.
How about
some modern stuff? I know you're a Tekashi 6ix9ine fan now.
No, not really. He's a terrible rapper, but
they're always playing him on my block.
Do you really?
They're always playing him on my block. Yeah. I go out on my street.
No, I'm more of a Freddie Gibbs type. You know, smashing on these slim fast fools is kind of what I like. What do you like, Sean? If you were 16 and your dad had unlimited money, more or less, who would you want to play at your show or your birthday party?
Oh man, if I have unlimited money, I guess I'm requesting maybe some Run the Jewels, some Danny Brown, get some Kendrick in there, something like that.
I'm so old. Who is Danny Brown?
He's a rapper. I don't know how else to describe that other than he's a rapper.
You know, I didn't even know who Post Malone was until last week. How lame am I?
Pretty lame.
Pretty fucking lame. That's what I am.
That makes you cooler, in my opinion.
No, it doesn't. I can assure you it does not. It makes me more socially ostracized, I suppose, which confers a degree of coolness, but it's not coolness. The answer to that is, for me, but if I was 16, like what was I listening to at 16? Like what were you listening to at 16?
At 16...
were you here in the States yet?
Yeah, I was in the States. 16, I must have been early high school. Well, early high school EDM was popular. I mean, you gotta keep in mind...
I don't know who you are anymore.
I grew up in Miami, so like Ultra was like a huge thing back then. So I was probably listening to like some electronic music, but I can't remember off the top of my head what exactly was going on when I was 16.
When you were 16, Sean, who were you listening to?
Oh man, I was way into metal and hard rock. So it was probably like some Nine Inch Nails or just all sorts of obscure metal bands from Scandinavia.
Yeah, see, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I was listening to Vulgar Display of Power when I was 16. So that's who I'd probably have. If I was 16, I'd have Pantera come and play, but of course, half the members are gone now. But if it was today...
Wait, hold on. Kid Cudi, that's who I was listening to.
Kid Cudi...
Dude, you wanted the truth? Here's the truth. All right, give me your hot take, because I know you got something to say.
Do me, everyone watching this right now, do me a favor and get on YouTube and just type in Sean Price hates Kid Cudi and see what comes up. You're welcome, okay? You're welcome. Sean Price, of course, also, all my favorite rappers are dead. So I'd have Sean Price play. And then I'm going to see Dying Fetus, I think Gorgasm, and who's the other band that's playing in New York City? I cannot wait to see them. My favorite album, I don't know what your favorite Dying Fetus album is, Sean. I'm more into a Descend into Depravity kind of guy. Maybe Reign Supreme, but that's just me, right?
I can't tell you that my Dying Fetus, my acumen about them is a little
Dude,
wacky.
Look at how mad he is. Look at how mad you are.
Steve.
I'm not.
Do you think I pick on you too much?
I like Kid Cudi, I'll say it. It's not a big deal.
Gotta put some hair in that his chest.
You like what you like. That's totally fine.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not really a Dying Fetus type.
Yeah, we can fix that. We can fix that.
I'm good.
We'll just, you know, we'll man you up a little bit. That's all right. Blicky with the stiffy. All right. Ahead of UFC Calgary, what is your favorite moment at a Canadian UFC event? Ooh. Examples: Jones Gustafson. I forgot that was in Toronto. Jones Belfort. Mears Kimura on Big Nog. Condit's comeback versus Rory. DJ 240 59 sub. That wasn't a Horiguchi. I can't remember anymore. Condit versus Hendricks. GSP Condit. Aldo Hominick. Machida front kick on. That was on Couture. GSP Sarah 2. Danny, what about you?
I would say for me, the most memorable was GSP Condit. Because that fight, like GSP at that point, he was just like dominating everyone. And the fight looked like most GSP fights, but then you had, I don't know, when was that high kick? At one point, it might have been like the third or fourth round.
Yeah.
And everybody, I remember I was watching it at a bar, and everyone was just like, whoa, you know, and it was just like a big climax. And it was a really bloody fight, and it was just a really, it was just a great fight, really.
What about you, Sean?
In terms of fight, it would be Jones-Gustafsson easily. That's one of my favorite fights ever. But just in terms of a pure moment, for me, it's a little random. But it's Mark Hominick walking out for his Jose Aldo fight with coming home, ringing through the arena, and that was before that was really cliche. And that was really the last run for the whole Sean Tompkins crew. You had Sam Stout and all those guys just like along with him. And I wrote a long story about that. So for me, that's a little special moment in my heart.
I'm just trying to think about, for me, I was there for that. I remember it quite distinctly. I was actually sitting right next to Mauro Ranallo, and the place was just electric with energy when that happened. Of course, when GSP came out, it was the Shields fight. It was a similar thing. But for me, it's got to be Condit's comeback. I just remember Condit getting whooped on and then just, putting the lumber to Rory McDonald there in that third round and finding a way to dig it out. I'm not suggesting to everyone else it's the best one, but it's the one I don't know. I can just remember. You ever have those moments in fights where you just remember where you were and everything around you and who was there and who was not there, who was talking, what the sound was, what the lighting was, what the weather that day was. There are certain moments like I have like that, and I remember exactly where I was for Condit's comeback against McDonald. That's it for me. We got a bunch of these, so let's fire through. How do you think MMA media, Danny, has changed? Actually, let me go to Sean. He's a little bit more of an OG on this one.
Sure.
How do you think MMA media, Sean, has changed and possibly influenced the sport of MMA? I got a couple of thoughts, but what do you think?
That's an interesting question. Just in terms of how the actual industry has changed over my time. It's changed dramatically.
Oh, we're having some Skype problems. While we're fixing that with Sean, I'll pitch it. Let me go first on this one, if I may, since I'm a little bit older. So I've been in MMA media, I don't know if it's official or anything, but I've been doing this since about 2006 or 7. Obviously, social media has changed a lot. It's a lot more gossipy than it used to be, even though it was still pretty gossipy back in the day. Some of it hasn't changed at all. The one thing I'd say is, and I bear responsibility in this regard, which I have no problem admitting, anti-doping plays a bigger role in MMA than it used to, I think in part because of the media. But the media is still kind of the same. It's a little more European than it used to be. It wasn't very European back in the day. It's a little younger, but there are not many jobs in MMA media. So all the old guys who were there before, like me, were still there because we haven't been fired yet.
Yeah.
Every time. But you know what I'm saying? Like once it's like the Supreme Court. Like you have to wait till Scalia dies before somebody else comes in there. From your vantage point, what have you noticed?
As far as changes, I mean, I haven't been around covering the sport for long enough for me to like notice any big changes. But I would say as far as how it influences the sport, I feel like MMA media is very responsible for a lot of the matchmaking. You get on social media or talk to a journalist, get on a show and just throw their shot, call out fighters, and really create beefs and rivalries that eventually, bleed on and matchmakers go, okay, we can make that fight happen. So that's something that I think, MMA media affects a lot in the sport.
Sean, we go back to you. What do you think?
Well, I wasn't able to hear your answer, and I would have liked to, but I mean, for me, the time I've been in the industry, it's changed in a couple ways. I think there's a lot more focus now on video, and just in social media in general. It seems a lot more video heavy, but also just in general, I don't know how to articulate this, but the way we cover the sport, I feel like, has changed dramatically. Just with the rise of social media, it's much more instantaneous. It's much more little bite-sized pieces as opposed to larger chunks. I don't know if that's good or bad necessarily, but I feel like this sport has adopted with the times and kind of evolved with the times.
The one thing I would say is I certainly do not believe in quotas, but it cannot be coincidental that the first time we had a woman on this show was the last show that we did, right? There's just not many women covering this, you know, it's funny. And there's not many women watching it. Like I know when Ronda was around, people thought that there was, but there's not. My wife hilariously one time went to me with some event, and you know, like no one knows who I am, but at MMA events, I have a little bit of a recognizable face. And she was joking, and she was like, "Oh, you better not be talking to women." And I was like, "Sweetheart, I have great news for you. No one who reads or watches my work has a uterus. I can almost guarantee it. It is not a thing." And that bleeds into the fact that it's not really who's watching, but who is participating on the other side. In fact, you know this as well as I do, Sean, the people who ultimately become MMA media almost always start as fans. It's not that editors find some sports reporter in the newsroom and then decide, okay, you're covering MMA one day. It's somebody who pushes up through the ranks and says, hey, notice me because I'm a fan and I love this stuff. That part has not changed at all, but at the same time, because the audience hasn't changed much, you don't have, it's kind of the same old crop. And again, people are doing great work, but I wouldn't mind a change of pace here or there. That's all. So, all right, what do we have next? You're on death row, Sean, and you're offered a last meal. What is it, and why are you on death row, Sean? What did you do?
Oh man, I don't know. I want to know that too. Last meal.
Yeah.
So last meal for me, like it would have to be a little specific because I'm a celiac, so I can't eat gluten. But if I'm on death row and I'm about to die, I don't know that I care about not eating gluten because at that point, who matters? So I'm getting like the biggest bucket of fried chicken possible and biscuits and maybe some pizza and some donuts. Like I'm just going ham on it. I'm just eating all this stuff that I can't actually eat.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what happens if you eat gluten? What happens to you?
Really bad things. Like I'll get stomach issues, or I'll sometimes I had a really bad brain issue at one point when I was a kid because of it. Like it's pretty serious. But at that point, if I'm on death row, I don't care. I'm eating so much fried chicken, like it's obscene.
Danny, what are you eating? Death row. Last meal.
Probably pizza.
Wow.
A lot of pizza, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, pizza.
Yeah.
You have pizza outside. You want that as your last
Pizza's
meal?
delicious. Are you kidding me?
Look, I'm not hating on pizza. Pizza.
Or
maybe. What do you have on your pizza? What do you put?
Pepperoni and mushrooms.
Not bad. What goes in your pizza, Sean?
Oh man, get a little bit of, see, I'm a meat lover, right? So I'll get a little bit of sausage, a little pepperoni, salami. I literally just ate some this morning, trying to scarf it before the show. Maybe put some spinach on there just to feel like slightly healthy. Yeah. I've been putting on broccoli. I've been getting pizza with broccoli lately.
Oh,
that's really good.
You sicken me is what you do. Broccoli on pizza? What the fuck could possibly be the point?
Hey, I'd never tried it, but yesterday I got it and it was actually really good. So don't knock it until you try it.
You should try cigarette butts on pizza or banana peels. They're que rico. No, I'm not doing that. I would have, if it was going to be pizza, I like jalapenos and pepperoni.
Okay, that's pretty good combo. Yeah.
But my last meal, what would I have? Now, let's say we could see if it's the prison. Here's the X factor. Are the prison chefs making it? Because if the prison chefs are making it, you got to just go with a tried and true. I think the fried chicken's probably the best thing in that circumstance because it's hard to mess up fried chicken, right? But if we could like order out, like if you could Uber Eats,
seamless.
If you could seamless web Grubhub your last meal, it'd be a nice steak. It would be an absolute prime rib. That's what I would have. Yep, and then you could put some. Go ahead.
How do you take your steak? Like, how do you cook it?
The only way that steak should ever be cooked.
Well done, right?
Rare or medium rare, ever. That is the only acceptable answer.
Danny, I swear to God, you better have been kidding.
Yeah, I was kidding. No, for sure.
Okay.
Medium.
Medium's even a little too high, but medium rare and rare is the way to go. How do you cook your steak? Medium rare?
Oh, medium rare. Come on, that's not even like a question.
Yeah, and then, a bottle of Jack Daniels. All right, what's next?
I like
Canelo versus Triple G did 1.3 million buys. Does McGregor versus Habib go over 1.3 million? I would be shocked, Sean. I would be shocked if it does anything less than 1.3. I think 1.5 or higher would be the floor in my judgment.
For Conor versus Khabib?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's gonna break a new ceiling for what a UFC pay-per-view can do. Especially, I mean, Conor had his thing in court today, but we're gonna see that footage of him throwing the dolly so many times over the next couple months. So I would be stunned if that did less than 1.3.
I think it actually does too.
I think it does 2 million buys?
I think that's the biggest fight you could possibly put on in MMA.
In combat sports?
In combat sports, yeah. I mean,
what's bigger?
What's
bigger? Conor versus Habib, or if it was on pay-per-view, let's say in Vegas, Wilder versus Joshua. I'm gonna say Conor.
I would say Conor, because I feel like Conor. And just given the fact that I feel like everything that has happened right now, it seems like a black cloud over him, but this just sort of made his legendary status even greater. I mean, here in the MMA media, we're all discussing like, oh, this is a black eye for the sport, and you know, this is horrible for Conor McGregor's career. I go to the barber shop to get a haircut. I'm talking, and you know, my barber's asking me questions about it, and he's like saying, "Wait, Conor McGregor is un bacán. Like, you know, he's the man. He's so cool. This is you know, people find this interesting." And I agree 100% with Sean. That Dolly clip is going to be played over and over, and this is a natural rivalry involving two of the biggest and two of the best fighters in the world, so I think it could easily do over 2 million.
All right, next. Brendan Schaub recently said that it's time to appoint an actual business head of the UFC to replace Dana, i.e., like the head of the NBA, so Adam Silver, for the UFC to progress. Do you think this is correct, Danny, or is having a promoter part of what makes MMA great?
In combat sports is a little different than other sports, whether you know, you just don't go to a press conference and just give vanilla answers. You're supposed to hype up the sport, so you need a hype man. You need somebody that can go in there, sell the fight, and tell you why you need to buy that fight. So you do need someone like Dana White. Now, with that comes a little bit of extra baggage that Dana does certain things like bash fighters that certainly looks bad. But it's kind of hard to have one without the other. So I do think for an MMA promoter in combat sports, you need that type of personality.
You know what I think, Sean? I don't know how you get rid of Dana White, because I actually do think he's when he wants to be a very gifted promoter, but sometimes he doesn't want to be. But what's missing is the good cop. So before you had, like, whether it was a deserved reputation or not, because there's reasons to believe that maybe it wasn't, but you had Lorenzo as the good cop and you had Dana as the bad one, and it's the tandem that works, in my judgment. Because sometimes you want the bad cop, sometimes you want the good one. What's missing now is there's no good cop.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say. Although I would ask, at this point, is Dana even a promoter? Like, when's the last time he promoted in terms of the actual definition of promoting? Like, what's the last fight that you can remember that he promoted in an active sense to try to get you to buy it?
Not like he used to. People forget the old series that he used to do where they would follow him around. I forget what it was called. Maybe it was even called Embedded. I don't even remember. But the Dana Vlogs. And this guy was out there doing radio show, TV show, radio show. The last time I saw him doing that was when Conor went to jail.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing it a lot for Maymac. It seemed like he was really in his element for Maymac. But I can't remember in the last, even 2018, the last year, like seeing him actively go out and push a fight.
All right, and that brings us to our very last one. Here we go. Sean, did you watch Ronda Rousey's Shark Week special? And here's sort of an addendum to that. What is the cringiest thing you've ever watched involving an athlete on TV, like some kind of crossover thing?
So I have no idea what Ronda Rousey's Shark Week special is. I'm completely oblivious to this, but...
Jose, can we just make a point? Jose, can we also make a point? Shark Week sucks. It's like, I don't care anymore.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with you 100%. My girl loves Shark Week. I've made this argument 1,000 times. But I'm judging based on the question that you asked and the way you framed it, that her Shark Week special was very cringy and awful.
No. I can confess to not seeing it. I can just only imagine, because Shark Week sucks, any kind of programming within Shark Week would be also equally sucky. But that's just a guess.
Well, no, I did not see it.
I didn't see it as well, but I am a fan of Shark Week.
Is Shark Week your other favorite hipster Brooklyn band?
No, well, I actually don't have cable, so I don't watch it, but the times that I've watched it, dude, it's entertaining. Are you kidding me?
What I mean, it's
the footage that they get. I'm a huge fan of National Geographic and,
me too.
And any nature documentary, Planet Earth. So sharks are some of the most interesting creatures in this world.
Yeah, but you don't have to wait till Shark Week to like read up on them.
That's true, but that's when they roll out all these amazing footage, fucking going super slow, catching crazy prey. You're just a hater.
I'm not a hater. I like sharks.
On sharks, man.
I've been. By the way, raise your hand if you've been to the National Geographic Museum. Oh, this guy. So.
Hey, whoa.
I wanted to say expletives and I can't.
I have also been to the National Geographic Museum, and I love how throughout the course of this hour and a half, or at least this 30 minutes, you have been so thoroughly disappointed so many times in both me and Danny when it comes to music, broccoli on pizza, Shark Week. It's great.
He's just a hater.
Look, one of us has to crack the whip for manhood up here, and apparently that's me. So, that's the duty that I'll actually adopt.
And you're saying you don't like Shark Week?
I like sharks. I don't like Shark Week.
So how can you like sharks
controversial?
and not like Shark Week?
Because Shark Week is for losers and nerds. Hashtag NerdBash 2018. Someone's got to keep the hashtag alive. I'll carry the mantle. Point being is, it's not interesting. It's dumb shit like, can Michael Phelps outrace CGI sharks? Oh my God, who could possibly care about this nonsense? You want to help sharks? Have you donated anything to conservation efforts? Fuck no, you haven't. I have. Who cares about sharks? This guy. You can call me Mr. Shark. You can call me Shark Week. I'm Shark Week Thomas up in here. I'm the only one who cares about sharks, and I don't watch bad Discovery Channel programming. There we go.
We'll leave it as that.
Look at the lineup here, and look who's mad. There's one guy who's mad.
I'm not mad. I don't know why you're saying. If anything, you're mad at that. I don't know that I'm into stuff that you're not into.
You know what? You know what, Sean?
Like something somebody who's mad would say.
Yeah. Don't let anyone ever tell you bullying doesn't work, because it does.